With countless rivers and a wide beachfront, Sarawak connects far beyond land. Rivers, seas, and now skies.
As you know that Sarawak is on islands, so airlines is actually serving as a bridge between Borneo Islands to the outside world.
From road transports to maritime and aviation, we connect the dots on Decimal Point. For generations, Sarawak's rivers were travelled by traditional boats, linking communities and opening access to its deep jungles. Today, those same waterways are being modernised to shape Sarawak's riverine and maritime future. Explore more on Connecting Sarawak. Safety and regulation, as we know, on busy and remote waterways are very complex, and Sarawak is probably the only one which is using river as a mode of transport commonly on the ground. Now, how is the ministry also evolving its strategies, to improve the water safety, awareness and such, to ensure that it's having its orderly development on perhaps the streets of tomorrow?
Before I go to the safety aspects of the rivers, I'd like just to inform that Sarawak we have a lot of rivers with more than 5,000 kilometers of waterways. Out of this, we have 55 rivers which are navigable and with a total distance of 3,300 kilometers. And it connects a lot of remote interior communities through the river systems. And of course, in Sarawak, we have the Sarawak River Boards, which is formed in 1993. And this board is under the purview of the Ministries of Transport Sarawak. And Sarawak River Board is improving not only the riverines safety, they also look into the river infrastructures, example like the safety of the jetty and so on. For the safety aspects, of course, we carry out a lot of river campaign. It's just like the road safety campaign. We go to the rural communities, telling them the importance how to have a proper river systems. For example, like schools. For the children to go to schools, they still have to go on the boat. And that's why a proper safety measures is very important to ensure the safeties of people also are using the boat, I call it the boat commuters in Sarawak. So Sarawak River Board, every year we hold numerous safety campaigns everywhere throughout Sarawak, and not only to create awareness and also to tell them what are the do's and don'ts. Make sure that when they ride a boat, for example, they must use the life jackets rather than, without enforcement, they will just simply jump into the boat. When the boat something happens, then accidents can happen. So apart from that, in order to ensure, for example, the big rivers, we know that we still have the navigations by the big vessels. In the big rivers, then we will emphasize on upgrading, for example, the X2 navigations, which will as a guide for the ships, for the bigger, larger boats. The X of navigation, in short, is ATON. It's just to serve exactly like traffic lights on the land.
Interesting to have traffic lights just like on the land and emulated on river transport. That's great to know, Dato'. Now, moving from water and maritime, now we move on to what's up in the air for Sarawak. Now, Dato', we know that this aviation strategy involves Air Borneo and the newly proposed Kuching International Airport. Now, it has been said also in news that it will emulate the Dubai Airport, incorporating into the Kuching Airport to serve more for tourist arrivals and also as an attraction for those who are coming here as well. Now, how will the state perhaps mitigate the commercial risk of aviation while ensuring it's still sustainable and serving its core mission of connecting and developing Sarawak to the world?
First of all, Air Borneo, we just take over the Air Borneo officially on the 1st of January 2026 from Maswing. And Air Borneo at the present moment is just, we are taking over the Rural Air Service, or in short we call it RAS. RAS service is covering Sarawak and Sabah, where it is actually, currently the aircraft they use are ATR 500 and also the Twin Otters serving the store ports. The ATRs are serving the bigger airports, for example, like Muka Airport, Limbang Airport, and so on. So we continue because rural air service is one of the very important elements to connect the rural communities, example like Barrio, Pekalalan, and so on. It covers both Sarawak and Sabah. So eventually, we will start with our JAC operations, where JAC operation will be operated commercially. It is no longer under Rural Air Service. Rural Air Service, for your information, is purely subsidized by the federal governments. It's under the PSO. So JAC operation will be based on the commercial considerations. So initially, we will start off maybe we won't go for exponential aggressive expansion. We will implement these proven and structured growth, meaning to say that these destinations will grow up slowly, both domestically and internationally over the times. Tanjong Embang itself is very interesting. We're not going to have only just new airports. The Sarawak government already proposed a new big seaport also. Within this aerotropolis, we will be having aerospace industries.
Sarawak is set to invest 100 billion ringgit over the next decade in a new international airport and a deep-sea port in Kuching, positioning the state as a regional aviation and maritime hub. The deep-sea port at Tanjong Embang will feature a new gas terminal, while the launch of Air Borneo marks a new milestone in Sarawak's journey. You also walk us through the difference between the rural air transport service and also the potential of Air Borneo having international routes as well.
Yes, definitely Air Borneo in future we have to go for international routes. But again, it depends on everything is a data-driven where it's the structures, depends on the demands and the abilities of the aircraft at the moment. And we will definitely go into international, both domestic and international routes. As you know that Sarawak is on the islands. So airlines is actually serving as a bridge between Borneo Islands to the outside world. And of course, as I mentioned, at the moment, Air Borneo, they have the plannings of different destinations outside Sarawak, particularly including the whole Borneo Islands, as we are Air Borneo, right?
Earlier, we also spoke a little bit on how is the fares being charged, and then why is the reason being like that? Because it's following the standard of it being set by CAM. So maybe you could also walk us through a little bit more on that, Dato', or whether Sarawakians will also be subsidized for any of these airfares?
Well, first, I would like to mention, as I said, there are two different things. One is RAS, the other is commercial flights. For RAS, we are taken over from Maswing, which is heavily subsidized by the federal. We must work within the subsidies given by the federal, and even if the governments of Sarawak want to subsidize, we have to get the prior approval from the federal. For example, like seasonal times where you want to have, for example, like certain discount for Sarawakian coming back to Sarawak. And for the regional flights, which is using the JAC operations, commercial flights, Air Borneo is going to be a full service airline. We are not going to be a low-cost airline. We are not competing with Asia. We will be having the same standard like the MAS or Patek Air, for example, the nearest competitor to us. Our ticket price will be very competitive to our competitors. We will ensure that especially connectivity is there, and we want to improve connectivities and to improve not only to spur the economic developments and also to spur tourism sectors too.
The people of Sarawak are looking towards the new Kuching International Airport, and it's slated to be very big, bigger than ever. I think emulating international airports, the Dubai International Airport into Kuching itself. Now, could you also share what's new for this upcoming international airport that we are yet to see?
Kuching Airport at the moment is having the capacities of 5 million passengers per year, MPPA. So, as our current airports, we already exceed, for the last few years, we already exceed our full capacities, meaning to say more than 5 million. So, Sarawak government is planning to build a new airport at Tanjong Embang. Initial phase 1, we have capacities of 15 MPPA, which in long run will be able to be upgraded to 40 MPPA with 2 runways. And of course, this airport will be a modern airport where we will have passenger stringless feelings experience that we have, like in the best airport. We are going to build the airport of tomorrow, meaning to say that this airport, first thing, it must be the customer experience must be there. It's not like the old airport, and we are going to capitalize the use of, for example, like digitalizations and also the AIs and so on and so forth, which they give very convenient to the customers.
Why Tanjong Embang is being set as the location for the new Kuching International Airport, Dato'?
Well, Tanjong Embang is one thing, is that the location is close to Kuching itself. The second thing is that we have a big piece of land there, which is easy to develop. We take into considerations of both ground condition and the air traffic conditions. And of course, another one is that Tanjong Embang, it doesn't require a lot of relocations of residents at the moment.
What are the potential sectors that you could see with the development of the new Kuching International Airport, Dato', with that being said, in the area around?
Tanjong Embang itself is a very interesting. We're not going to have only just new airports. In fact, Sarawak government already proposed a new big seaport also in Tanjong Embang, and also industrial zone and so on and so forth. Besides the airport, we are going to develop into an aerotropolis, which will serve both for the purpose of airport and also the port. Meaning to say that all the facilities will be there. There will be a master plan development for the whole Tanjong Embang. It's not just the airport itself. There will be the whole airport ecosystem to be there, which means that within this aerotropolis, we will be having aerospace industries, which are to complement the airport. So airport itself, the modern airport is not like the old airports. You know, if you go to a lot of airports, for example, like Doha Airport, Dubai Airport, even the nearest to us, for example, like Changi Airports. Changi Airport is not just a place for people going to board the planes and so on. It can be people converse, and it can be having shopping malls inside there. All these things are all the features of all the new modern airports. And we are looking at all the new airports where we want to build the airport of tomorrow.
Right, and touching on the airport of tomorrow and also going towards the aerotropolis that you mentioned also, Dato', you mentioned a little bit on the involvement of aerospace, is it?
Aerospace industry is very important. There are various aspects of aerospace where in industry where they give the services, provide the services for the airport and the aviation itself. Besides that, also we are also at the nearby area, we are also looking into even aerospace manufacturing. And when you talk about aerospace, there are a lot of things that we need. The other important thing is about the talent developments in order for us to match the needs of the aerospace developments in the future. Sarawak is very big in the rural area. We have facing a very high cost of logistics problems, and drones is one of the future solutions.
With technology advancing so rapidly, is Sarawak looking beyond conventional aviation and maritime transport to consider emerging technologies as part of its future-ready transport system? All right, Dato', you have mentioned that it's slated to be the next aviation hub of the region with this new Kuching International Airport, Dato'. Now, looking beyond conventional aviation, how is the ministry looking at potential or emerging technologies as we see that Sarawak is going towards innovation, digitalization, and new industries? I mean, for example, for urban air mobility or drones incorporated within Sarawak's future transport framework, Dato'?
In terms of aerospace, there are a lot of opportunities. Not only transforming the new Kuching airport to become the international hub, one of the aviation hub, especially on the Borneo Islands, as we are situated right in the middle of the Asian countries, and also the East Asians, we are situated in the middle. In the north, you can go as far as even to Russia, and the south, you can go as far as New Zealand, for example. And touching about the aviations, you're talking about technologies, beyond the aviations of the aerospace is the so-called low latitude economy. They call UAS, unmanned aircraft systems, which is another forms of very important things that we need to look into it, because it has been very popular in other countries. Low latitude economies have been very successful in countries like, for example, in China, where you can see that the drones are being used. Low latitude, not only the drones used for logistics, and China now is even going into flying cars. So for us, I think CAM is looking into all these regulations, especially for the drones. I think Ministry believes that drones is a very good ways of solving logistics issues in the future, not only in the urban area, where you see in China, for example, the drones are carrying now like e-grab, sending the food and so on. In fact, in the rural areas, it's a very potential to use drones as a means of logistics, where drones can send even from 200 kilos up to 1 tons at the designated routes. But however, it has been operated in other countries, like for example in Dubai in China, they have operated this as a routine, where they send goods to the rural areas. In Malaysia, CAM is looking into the regulatory part of it. Hopefully one day in future, if this can be used, then it will be able to serve very important our issue, especially as you know, the Sarawak is very big. In the rural area, we have facing a very high cost of logistics problems, particularly like, for example, area like Lario, Pekalalang, and so on. So the goods there are very expensive due to the high cost of transports. And drones could be one of the future solutions.
Do you see that it's potentially going to be incorporated, drones to facilitate in the medical sector in terms of transport as well?
Yes, drone can be used for not only for sending goods. For example, you just require certain medications where you don't need the service of doctors, then you can use the drone.
And what do you think are the factors that AI is potentially more effective than humans in transport?
Now, even for example, in China, you have driverless autonomous vehicles like driverless bus, taxis, and so on. You can experience it, for example, like in Beijing, in Shenzhen, in Guangzhou, in the major cities. You can see today you have autonomous taxi, where you don't have a driver itself. I have experienced it myself personally, and I can share with you that actually, to me, these autonomous vehicles are more safe as compared to driven by a driver. Because AIs is not like human, they don't have the problems like human factors. Humans can be sometimes, having issue like fatigue, even driving long distance. Autonomous vehicles, they are properly guided, you see, and they can even do as good as human being as a driver by itself. They have all sorts of sensors connected to that particular vehicles, and AI can even find the best ways or best routes as compared to human being.
Now, next on also, Dato', major projects like the new Kuching International Airport and the Kuching Urban Transportation System require very big capital, massive capitals. Now, beyond state reserves, as we know, that we have, and what innovative funding, financing, or any public-private partnerships that is also explored?
Of course, I would like to divide into two. KUTS project and Kuching New Airport will be different. KUTS, normally in the whole world, you can see that land public transport are normally heavily subsidized by all governments. As far as I know, so far, even Singapore is the same thing. I can only quote few examples like in Hong Kong, like in Tokyo, where commercially they are viable. But in other parts of the world, it's purely subsidized by the government. That's why for the KUTS, it is funded through Sarawak alternative funding. But however, for our new airports is an entities where they can make a lot of money, right? So presently at the airports, we are going to use the PPP concept, where it's a private-public partnership concept. But however, of course, Sarawak government is going to have the big share. Actually, there are a number of investors who have expressed interest, willingness to invest in the new Kuching airports, including domestically and foreign investors. The size of Qatar is equivalent to our state of Terengganu, and the Qatar population is more or less like Sarawak. But why do they have such a big airport? They have a very huge airport because Doha is a transport hub. Transport hub meaning to say that 90% is a transit hub. 90% of the passengers arriving at the terminal, they are not departing, leaving the terminal. They are just transit. So that is where we, Sarawak, can look into like Doha or Dubai. Currently, all our airports in Malaysia are owned by the federal government, managed by MHB, except the Senai Airport, which have been given concession 50 years to Senai Airport. The rest, you see, most of the stockports are commercially not viable. But however, you look at the MHB can make huge profit out of just few airports, the big airports, namely like KLIA, Penang, Kuching, KK. And they are able to even take care, with this, they can even cross-subsidize to all the stockports in the whole country.
Ultimately, how do you measure the success of Sarawak's transport investment? I mean, is we talking about investment? Is it talking about ridership numbers or economic ROI, accident statistics, reduction, or something like improved quality or regional equity? What say you, Datu?
I would say that it will be measured in different ways. It depends on how you look at it. For example, like transport, land transport. The important to me, I will measure it like riderships. We provide alternative means of transport to the public in terms of LRT, in terms of bus. So one of the most important things now, especially in Sarawak, especially in the cities area, urban area, I presume it's the same things throughout Malaysia, where traffic congestion is one of the big headache, right? Every place, even like KL at one time, they even want to propose to charge people with congestion charge, which haven't been implemented. In order for reduced traffic congestion, we must provide reliable alternative public transport. And that is very important, mobilities. At the same time, we have to know that among our citizens, not every family, not every household have the abilities to own vehicles themselves. Which means is owning a car, even though our car is comparatively cheaper than other country, right? So having a reliable public transport, it will solve the transportation problems of our people. And of course, when you look at the airlines, aviations wise, we just not purely look at the profit itself. For example, Air Borneo doesn't look at the profit. In long run, it doesn't just look at the profit because of the economic that it generates. So normally, I would say that, for example, when there are lots of foreigners, investors come into Sarawak, our economy is going to grow, it's going to multiply. So transport is an enabler to the economic growth. Without the transport, you can't move. Whether it's human mobilities, goods mobilities, logistics, and so on, transport play a very important role in the growth of the economy. So the same things in the case of Sarawak.
Sarawak is undergoing tremendous change, bringing new opportunities to its shores, including foreign direct investments for industrial growth. To support this, everything from roads and bridges to innovative public transport is being developed. From land to seas and skies, transformation is underway to make Sarawak more competitive. See you next time for more exciting developments right here on Decimal Point.